am Jimbo Paris, and you are listening to The Jimbo Paris Show. Hello, everyone. This is Jimbo Paris. Welcome again to The Jimbo Paris Show. Today we have Kevin Dunlap. Mr. Dunlap is basically an Optimal Performance Academy founder. He is also a Navy veteran, and he focuses very heavily on business coaching and strategizing. He was a realtor, computer programmer. He's done many, many different things, and he's a very, very interesting man. And he's definitely a person that I want to learn more. So let's bring him on and let's see what he's all about.
Hello, Jimbo. How are you doing today, sir?
Doing great. Did I pronounce your last name correct?
Yes, Kevin A. Dunlap. Yes.
Dunlap. Okay. So can you first begin by telling me a bit about yourself?
Yes, I've been an entrepreneur since after being downsized as a computer programmer when I was working on a project. Some of your listeners may have remember called Y2K. That was when the whole world was supposed to crash. But after I got downsized, I realized I did not want to work full time for corporate America again. So I just ended up doing my own thing. So I've been a serial entrepreneur. I've started several different businesses, and right now, in the last year and a half, I've been doing business coaching.
Okay, business coaching. And how do you define business coaching?
Well, business coaching is essentially where you help other people, other small business owners, is who I work with, like solopreneurs mainly, and it's helping them get past the roadblocks that are setting them back. So when I started my first business, I wish I had a coach back then because I spun my wheels for years and years and not making the progress that I wanted to make, and that really slowed me down. So knowing that and actually having experienced that, I fully understand. A business coach is there to guide you, is there to help you get past your certain obstacles that you may have or that they may have, and it could be from anything because it all depends on what kind of businesses that they're running.
Mm. And would you consider a business coach your profession?
Yes, as of now, since moving to North Carolina, that is what I've been. That's what I've been focusing on. I mean, I've done it in the past more on a casual basis, but when I decided to move to North Carolina, I made that my full time gig.
Mm. Okay. And sort of, okay, so this is what you're currently doing, but what made you want to become a business coach? Were you in need of a business coach before you even became one?
Yes, I've actually had many coaches over the years. I mean, ever since probably 2003 is when I hired my first coach, and I've had various ones at various times in my life. Sometimes they were just mentors. They may not have been realized that they were coaching me directly because I went to, like I said, some of their classes, their seminars, studying their courses and things like that. So they weren't actually calling me on a day-to-day basis or week-to-week basis in the coaching arena. But I definitely have had different business coaches, and I would say probably since COVID, I've had at least three different coaches that I've worked with.
And speaking of that, working as a business coach, what has been your most satisfying moment?
When people actually have that breakthrough, when they realize that maybe they did not realize that they were going to do something so quickly, or something that they thought was going to take a much longer time or much larger effort, and then just seeing them actually hit those accomplishments. So I mean, when you see somebody make major breakthroughs or major strides in their business or even in their personal lives, to me that is extremely rewarding. So I'd love to see the look in their faces when they have accomplished that goal, usually in a quicker time than they thought they would.
And when it comes to accomplishing your goals and sort of working as this business coach, what is your work ethic like?
What do you mean?
So you come from a Navy veteran background, you were a bartender, computer programmer. You must have an insane work ethic. So I'm just asking, what is your work ethic? Yeah.
Well, if you mean like if you mean like how many hours I put in, I mean I do put in a lot of time during the week. Being an entrepreneur, there's a joke out there when you're starting off as an entrepreneur. Is an entrepreneur is willing to work twice as many hours for half the pay, and you may or may not get the results that you think that you have. The other thing I sometimes jokingly say is that sometimes I only work 7 days a week. Trying to say that, but the thing is, I do work. I do play hard. I work hard. But my work ethic is definitely to get the things done in a timely manner, and usually try to get it done. Try to be done early. So if I say give myself a week to do it, then 5 or 6 days I need to be wrapping that up.
Mm. And did that work ethic sort of come from being a Navy veteran and being in the Navy for about 5 years?
Well, being in the Navy, what that taught me, because I was born and raised in Northwest Florida, and so joining the Navy, and being stationed overseas for 4 years, living in other amongst other cultures, that is what first started opening my eyes to seeing how other people are, accepting who the people are, regardless of their race, their age, their ethnic background, or anything like that. And then I guess after experiencing the world, I mean, there's so many people that don't travel outside their own state for most of their lives. And for me, being stationed in another country for so many years, that really opened my eyes to things, and then that allowed me to do as many other things. Like one of the things you have not mentioned was back in when I was in graduate school, I decided I wanted to go into the stunt business. So I started started actually training for doing stunts. And one of the things I learned from that was all about how you control your fear. For an example, if you're about to do something that could be potentially dangerous, and then the director yells action, and that's your cue to go, I mean, you have to go. And
Mm.
so those are the things that I've learned over the years, and that I bring unique to the table because I have such a varied background.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, you were both a stunt man and a stunt coordinator as well. What's a stunt coordinator?
Well, there's two different things that was. One was a stunt coordinator, and the other one was what's called a fight choreographer.
Uh,
A stunt coordinator is a person that works on film, whatever, regardless if it's TV or a movie, and those are the ones that design and to make sure that the stunts that are performed by all the performers are going to be done safely as well as look good on camera. And now a fight choreographer, that is essentially something a little bit different because a fight choreographer works with people on stage. So you may be doing a sword fight or a mock fight or something like that, and you want to make sure that the actors, because they won't have stunt doubles, that the actors are trained and know how to do things in a safe manner.
all right, very interesting stuff. I'm learning some stuff here. Okay, all right. So back to you now. How do you sort of deal with stressful situations?
One is to break it down into smaller, accomplishable steps. So if a stressful situation comes up, which is usually some kind of a challenge, then how can we actually achieve that challenge? And instead of just looking at the overall that big obstacle in your way, it's like how can you build your way around that, or through that, or over it, or under it, whatever that may be. And when you break it down into smaller steps, it makes it a lot more easy to accomplish.
Okay.
Now,
So
if you talk
kind of
about
like,
just stress in regular life, then I would say sometimes a meditation or something, just getting myself grounded would be another way. If that was the kind of question you're asking.
okay, okay, grounded. All right, all right. And kind of when I speak to you about this, what makes your client experience unique? So when you work with clients as this business coach, what makes your experience you give to clients?
Well, number one is going to be accountability. Number two, depending on how we're doing the education, I want to make sure that it's also experiential because you can only learn so much by hearing. I mean, I was a college math teacher at one time, so that means I had to do things very visually because I'm doing things on a chalkboard or a whiteboard. Now, whenever you're doing, let's say when I was training somebody in stunt work, now that's going to be more hand to hand body kinesthetically learning how to do that. So I forgot your question. I just went off on a tangent there. What was your question again?
How do you make your client
Oh,
experience unique?
it's again, like I said, I want to make sure it's experiential as well as the accountable, and then again, becoming my extremely varied background, I can usually approach to them with an experience that they could possibly relate with. And when I was a college math teacher, I was also a math tutor. And when you're a math tutor, I'm going to one table to talk to people how to get a common denominator in adding fractions. And the next table, I'm teaching the quadratic formula. And the next table, I'm teaching triple integral calculus. So you had to be able to be flexible and be able to jump around at all the skills level of the person that you're working with.
Okay. Okay. Would you consider yourself a polymath?
And what?
A polymath?
I don't know that word.
It's basically you're a jack of all trades.
I would say a jack of some trades, not all
Mm,
trades.
okay.
So, like saying in my coaching, I typically do not work with people that are brick and mortar business owners because I don't understand inventory. I don't understand triple net leases. I mean, that is just not my forte. But if you're a coach or if you're a trainer or if you're a solopreneur as an industry expert, then that's my wheelhouse.
Okay. So you're also the founder of the Optimal Academy, if that's what it's called. Forgive me, but sort of, can you tell me a bit about that? You know, why you started it, how it works?
Yes, the name of the company is called Optimal Performance Academy, and the website is the same name, optimalperformanceacademy.org. And I founded that because of just all the teaching that I've gone through. Like there are people that are going to learn actually through one of my coaching programs, and most of my coaching programs are group coaching programs. So there's other people that are going to be learning from as well as the accountability partners. The second thing is I called it an academy because I was actually and I'm creating more and more online courses. So with that being said, that way now people can learn on their own without having to always be Tuesday at 2 o'clock on a call. They can learn something on a Friday night or on a Sunday morning. So I do that as well. And I am creating more courses as well as live events, workshops to help people at their different stages of their business.
So you have a lot of valuable information here. So you offer group and private training, online courses, seminars, workshops, live training events. So if I were to just go onto this website, how would I begin to get immersed into this academy of yours?
One of the things is you're on the homepage right now, so go ahead and just do the homepage. On the Another thing is I do have what I call a complimentary strategy session where we can actually sit down and talk about your business. That's going to be like a 1 hour strategy session, and on the front page as well as a few other pages, you can click on the link that will take you directly to my Google Calendar, and you can schedule a call that fits your time frame. And on that call, we're going to be talking about your business. Now, I do have a couple of online courses that are also for free, or they may show a charge on the website, but they are for free. Therefore somebody can actually listen to one of our courses to see if it's something that they like, if they like my teaching style or not.
Hmm.
Now, I do also have a meetup group that is going online where I do offer training so that people could learn in a classroom style online, in this case in Zoom, and they could be anywhere in the world for to learn more about the how they run their business on a logistics level.
Hmm. Okay. So you offer free courses as well.
Yes, because I mean, I always feel like before you invest with me, you should probably know a little bit about who I am and how I do things. So, to me, giving somebody a taste or sample of our work, then that is something that we can definitely do.
All right. This is a very fascinating system you have here. And I think I should have asked you this earlier, but what types of businesses do you specialize in?
My specialty or my wheelhouse are going to be people that are coaches, Are they going to be trainers, or what I call industry experts? And industry experts is a kind of a broad uh, term. Now, I do work with like solopreneurs and maybe two people working together, like say husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, two best friends, however that may be set up. And I forgot your question again.
No, I think you answered it completely. I just was asking,
Oh,
what types
yeah,
of
the
businesses do you
industry experts
specialize
could be people like realtors, could yoga instructors, somebody that has their own intellectual property or their own IP, as I call it, that they want to share with the world. So,
in? Okay. Hmm. Now, a bit more about, kind of what moves you as a person. What was your greatest inspiration? What motivates you in your business? Do you have a role model? Do you have a personal goal or agenda you want to meet in life? Like, what motivates and moves you?
well, one of my goals right now that I've set this year was that I want to have 100 people to actually develop a six figure business through my training programs. So that's to me how I can be outward focused, and by helping others achieve more, that will help me with my financial goals. That'll help me with my business goals or what have you. So I'd rather be outward focused and helping others achieve their goals.
Okay. Okay. And you also are an author of a book, correct? Can you kind of give me a bit of a gist on that book and sort of why you decided to write one?
Actually, I'm a self-published author of four books,
Wow.
and my most recent book, which came out in 2021, is called Launch, and the subtitle is "The A to Z in Creating a Successful Business," and that can be found on Amazon as well as the OptimalPerformanceAcademy.org website. And in that book, that was actually 10 years in the making. That was 10 years of courses, business courses, personal development courses that I went to. And when I wrote the book, I mean, I wanted to be only about, I don't know, about 200, 250 pages. That was my goal. And then when I wrote my first draft, I was over 300 pages in the book. And I looked at the chapters, like I still forgot to put in a whole bunch of stuff. So I ended up making the book. It's over 450 pages in length, and it also has over 40, I think 43 exercises in the book. So as you're working through the chapters, you're doing the exercise, working on your business, like say writing a section of your business plan or writing down what is your tagline. What are your website colors. You're going through all of that. That way, it's not just like let me read this book, put it down, and try to implement it. Like no, you implement it right now as you're reading the chapter.
Okay. And I was also thinking about another book you wrote, Paul. I think Lease Options Made Easy.
That was my first book that I wrote in 2015. Back when I was in real estate and I was living in Las Vegas at the time, from to like 2004 until 2022, I was there for 18 years. I was a real estate consultant as well as a real estate investor. In 2012, I got my license, my realtor's license. However, from 2004 until 2012, I was doing a lot of lease option real estate. I mean, I was just that was my thing. I was connecting buyers and tenants together. I did that for 12 years. I've done maybe 400 lease option contracts over those years. In 2015, I decided, you know what, I want to be an author. I mean, I have a friend of mine that was living in San Diego. She was just became an author herself, and I wanted to add more credibility to me and my business. Now, I know that the word author is derived from the word authority. So when you become an author, if your book is somewhat good, you're going to become an authority on that topic. So I wrote the 2015 book Lease Options Made Easy because I wanted to be even more of an authority while I was doing my lease option business. And
So author and authority are kind of synonymous, is what you're saying. They
Yes. So, for an example, if there was me and my twin brother, and said we both are doing, a particular topic, and then one of them would say and say I wrote a book on that topic, and my twin brother, did not, knowing nothing else. Most people are going to trust the author before the person that's not an author. Plus, by writing a book, that becomes your business card that you can give away to, say, a host or event planner to actually get onto their stages in order to now share your message with more people.
Okay. Hmm. Now, kind of going back to books now, kind of how do you kind of start planning your goals? For example, when you wrote your first book, how did you set that up? And is that the same system you always use?
When I wrote my first book, that's because when I wrote my second, I was getting ready to write my second book, I actually hired a book writing coach. So my first
Oh,
book was not written how I wrote my last three books, but I'll tell you how I wrote both of them. My first book, it was on lease options, which could be a pretty dry subject. And on my website at that time, back in 2012 to 14, I had a FAQ on my website. I frequently asked questions. And I had, I think, 29 or 30 something questions, and I answered those questions. I even shot one video for each question with the answer. And then I said, well, let me change my FAQs into a book. So that's basically what I did. Then I started reading my book, like, God, this is boring. So I decided, like, how can I make this boring topic a lot more interesting? So I decided to actually make it a narrative. So I created a husband and wife characters that had bad credit. They go to a real estate seminar and they learn about lease options. And I was able to actually have the husband and wife have different opinions on that subject. So therefore, I was able to relay the information from at least two or three different perspectives, so that I can get the information across more clearly. So that's how I wrote my first book. My second book was based upon coaching, and that was essentially. I'll give you a quick synopsis of that in a nutshell. He said, what is going to be the topic of your book? What are the key words in your book? So that's when I wrote down. It was the second book was called Designing Your Own Destiny. And with that book, he said, like, write down 100 stories. Just like little a sentence or an idea that would trigger the story. He says 51 of those stories, at least 51 of those stories, have to be about somebody else. The other
mm,
49 is going to be about you. If you go above the 50% mark, now it becomes an autobiography. He goes, no, you don't want to create an autobiography. So you have to make it so it's tailored toward other people. Then I wrote down what chapter, the topics of each chapter, and then let's say it was 21 chapters. Got 21 pieces of paper, and each piece of paper was the name of the chapter, and then the story that I had already written. Like, well, that's in chapter 3, or that's going to be in chapter 6. So that gave me a basic outline of the book, and then when you write a book for the first time, you have to be okay that it's going to look like crap. So you write your book, you write your first draft, leave all your misspellings in there, don't change a thing, just keep writing and writing and writing. So when you're done with your first draft, you've got the one version nobody will ever read. You will never show it to anybody. And then once you're done with it, then you go back and start making the improvements. You do your second draft. So my second book, I had 4 drafts of that book. I hired a content editor to read the book, and we went through 4 more drafts on that book. So I went through 8 drafts of that book before I had my final copy. And that's how I write all my books now, is to come up with the ideas, what's going to go to each chapter, write it, rewrite it as many times as I need, and then have at least one other person read it to make sure that it actually is comprehensible. As an example, in my third book, I had a friend of mine read the book, and I have a bad habit when I write that I will start off a sentence or even a paragraph with the word and.
hmm.
And she caught like 39 times in my second book or my third book that when I started so I went back and took out 37 of them. Like, okay, thank you very much. So I don't know if for those of you or your listeners that have gone through college and they're writing an English paper, do you always have a friend of yours read your English paper that you're about to turn in just to get, is my concept comprehensible? Am I getting my point across?
Mm, okay. Oh. Now, you did mention autobiography at one point. I find that interesting because my next question goes along the lines of, if you were to write a book about yourself, just about yourself, how would you go about naming?
Huh. I don't know what I would name it. I mean, it could be something with the word memoirs in it, because because it would mainly depend on what is the purpose of the book. Because the book has to relate to why am I writing it? So I don't know. I mean, I don't think my name would be in the title. In the title, it might be in the subtitle, but definitely not in the title. Or it may not even be in the subtitle because I may have an autobiography of Kevin A. Dunlap would be the author section.
Hmm. So you wouldn't put your name in the title. That's interesting. Okay.
Well, one of my favorite books that I've read, and it was highly influential for me, and the title is deliberately misleading. So it's an
Okay.
autobiography, and the title of the book is called "Losing My Virginity."
Oh,
So you would say, okay, this is about somebody, having sex or something along those lines. Then I say, once I mention who wrote it, you go, got it. It was written by Sir Richard Branson about the whole Virgin Empire.
okay.
So,
Oh, okay. Richard Branson. That's interesting. That's an interesting twist on things. All right. Hmm. Now, this may be a bit of a strange question to ask, but how confident are you in yourself? What is the
I'm very
self-belief?
confident because the stuff that I teach is also the same stuff that I learned myself, either through my own life experiences. I would say maybe 20% through my own life experiences, and the other 80% because that's what I learned from other coaches, trainers, seminars, workshops that I've been going to since 2010, and even before. In all honesty, probably ever since in the last 20 plus years.
Mm. Now, I'm interested too in this idea of, can you give us a situation where you sort of satisfied your client or made your client very happy?
I mean, there's so many. The one that comes to mind is more of a personal event. And it was a good friend of mine. It was a lady friend of mine. Came to me crying that she was going to get a divorce, and because he said my husband doesn't love me anymore. He doesn't love me. She was also had two small girls at that time. And then I introduced her or talked to her also about another book called The Five Love Languages by Gary Chapman. And it come to find out that the languages her husband was speaking in their personal relationship was completely different than hers. And most people tend to love somebody or interact with somebody in the way they want to be loved, but it may not always be the same kind of communication that the other person has. So in that particular case, it was all about perspective, changing your perspective on things. And then once she understood what language her husband spoke, what language she spoke, they shared that with each other. Then they realized, like, yes, we do love each other, and they're still happily married today. And that happened over 10 years ago.
Hmm. So, what makes you happy?
I mean, extrinsically, I would say when other people have success, when other people succeed, and it's because of something that I did or that I shared with them, that would be a huge one. If you're talking about intrinsically, uh, for me, one of the big things, and I guess the Navy's really honed this down for me, is my love for travel, just being able to go and see new places. And that in October 21, I remember buying a car, two-door car in another state that I didn't live in. I was living in Vegas. I bought it in Florida, and I ended up going on a 54-day road trip just because I could,
Hmm.
and saw 14 states at that time.
I think you
So
said the
I,
words. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so I love the whole travel idea of just going out and seeing something new every day, not always waking up in the same bed, and yeah, and just seeing the same thing out of your window every day. Just get up and see something different, changing, changing what you're seeing and experiencing. To me, that's what made me happy.
Okay. Oh. And I think you mentioned the words intrinsically and extrinsically. Could you maybe elaborate more on what those words mean so people could kind of understand what you mean?
Oh, when I say extrinsically, which is the ex intrinsically, That means something that is outward focused. That means that there's something that's outside of the person. When I say intrinsically, which is I intrinsically, that means something inside. That means you're focusing on yourself. For an example, doing a meditation could be intrinsic. Doing volunteer work could be extrinsic.
Mm. Okay. And kind of, can you kind of give some tips on, your startup business or kind of how people can start building their own startups?
First off, I would say find out, search and discover exactly what is it that you want to do, and then go out there to see if there's a demand for it. And if there is a demand, is there somebody else already doing it? And if there is somebody else doing it, how can you learn from that person to either improve upon whatever that topic is, or to actually, instead of looking at things from a scarcity mindset, look at it from an abundance mindset and see about maybe even doing a collaboration. I mean, when I was doing my lease option business in Vegas, for the first several years, I found the owner investors. I would market their homes. I would find the tenant buyer. I connect them together. So that was what I did for several years. Then I found somebody else that was doing the exact same thing that I was doing, and I said, "Hey," his name was Jim. I said, "Hey, Jim, let's have a beer. Let's talk. Let's talk about this." After like maybe an hour talking together, we decided that, hey, why don't we just market each other's properties? That gives me more inventory for my tenant buyers, gives me more opportunities to make money, gives the owner two groups of people marketing their homes. Because we marketed differently, and therefore that ended up being a triple win situation. Instead of looking at Jim as a, hey, you're my competitor, like, how can we work together? How can we do this together? So that's what I would say for any startup. Now, it, but it does require some research. I mean, this is not something I say go form your LLC. Come up with a name, form your LLC, and then now you're in business. Like, no, there's going to be doing some homework first, and then also for the startup, because this is part of the stuff I actually coach on, is actually to find out where are you right now as far as time wise. There's 106. I believe there's 168 hours in a week. Now, if you're going to start a business, let's say you could put 15 hours into your business. Where are you taking that from those other areas of your life? Oh, I can't walk the dog anymore, or I can't, take a college, or wherever it may be. And then you got to understand, where are you financially? What are you willing to financially invest into your business, especially as a startup? And the last thing is, who is there to emotionally support you? Because if you got a husband or a wife and they're not there supporting you, that's going to drag you down quick. So you've got to find out who is your support system. And that's just getting started. That's before you even started talking to a CPA or an attorney, or trying to even thinking about building your team. You got to know where your point A is.
All right. That was some good wisdom. Now, this has been an excellent interview. Do you have any kind of inspirational message you could give to anyone here out there?
Well, I don't want to use that. Where there's that old adage that you deserve to live your dream. So if you can dream it, then you could achieve it. But it's just going to say how committed are you to doing it? And the thing is, if you really want to help other people and you have some type of intellectual property, you have some type of IP, then figure out how can you actually make a business around that. And I would say this to you, because you have to love what you do. Because if you start a business that you don't love, you're going to hit burnout very, very quickly. So when I am talking to entrepreneurs, or let's say if I was talking to somebody that had a 9 to 5 job, I would say, and you work Monday to Friday, a 9 to 5, and I would ask you, what is your favorite time of the week? You said 5 o'clock p.m. on a Friday. Well, then that means you don't love your job. If you said at 9 a.m. on a Monday, then you know you love your job. So you have to, if you're going to become an entrepreneur, because you're going to be putting up with a lot of stress, you're going to be putting up with a lot of headaches. You'll have a lot of victories as well if you're doing things properly. Is that you got to love what you do.
Okay. And kind of the final question for you is kind of, how can people reach out to
Well, they can reach out to me. They can schedule a complimentary call. First off, they can go to our website, which is the www.optimalperformanceacademy.org. If they want to schedule a 1 hour strategy session, just go to the same website /strategy. It's the same link that you're going to find on the page anyway, and that will link to my calendar. And that calendar will ask, I think, like a 12 or 13 minute or 12 or 13 question. So that way I am prepared whenever we are getting on our call. So yes, just go to optimalperformanceacademy.org. And if you schedule a call, just /strategy.
All right. Thank you again, Mr. Dunlap. This has been an amazing interview. I'll admit it, you're a pretty hard person to interview because you've done so many different things, so.
I'll be welcome to come back and talk about stunt business or real estate or anything like that. So.
All right. So just to end this off, we just have a few quick shout outs here. If you look below, first thing we have to mention is Judy Ryan. This is our affiliate partner. She works at LifeWork Systems, and she's focused on helping to create a better collegial environment, looking at the mental health of business workers, business employees, and overall bringing the business up. The next thing we have to mention is our YouTube channel. Please subscribe. We're growing in subscribers and we need some more. Keep going, and you can get exclusive updates on our show and what we have to offer. Next thing is going to be our Roku channel. This will be on Roku TV as well as our other many different episodes, so please check us out there too. Next thing we got to mention is, our Ko-fi, or actually Jimbo Paris Academy, forgive me. Jimbo Paris Academy is our free-to-learn academy business on how to start your own podcast. If you want a podcast just like my own, check us out. We offer free courses and you can learn how. And then, final thing we have to mention is Ko-fi. We are crowdfunded, so please send us any type of donations so you could have free episodes, no ads, and we can continue doing this 4 and 4 in the future. All right. Thank you again. I am Jimbo Paris. This is the Jimbo Paris Show. See you next time. Thank you for listening to the Jimbo Paris Show.